Missouri's redrawn congressional maps are officially signed into law. Good evening, I'm Morgan Harris. Thank you for staying up late with us. Governor Mike Kehoe today signing the bill created this month during a special session. The signing comes nearly a month to the day Kehoe called lawmakers back to Jefferson City to do the uncommon job of redrawing the maps in the middle of the 10-year census cycle with the goal of adding a GOP district, making Missouri a 7-1 Republican majority state from a 6-2 split. Kehoe called the special session at the request of President Donald Trump, who is looking to add more GOP-heavy districts before the upcoming 2026 midterms. The move comes after Texas redistricted, causing a nasty partisan fight there. The new maps significantly impact the Kansas City metro area, making large changes to the 5th congressional district currently held by Democrat Emanuel Cleaver. Now, closer to home, the change means some voters in western St. Charles County will likely have a new member of Congress, switching from Republican Ann Wagner to fellow party member Bob Onder. Democratic National Committee Chair Ken Martin this afternoon responding to the bill signing, saying in part, quote, "This is a right-wing power grab so Republicans can avoid accountability for voting to take away the health care of hundreds of thousands of Missourians." But the battle in Missouri isn't over. Missourians have the opportunity to put this craven power grab up for a vote. Now, as we mentioned in that statement, multiple lawsuits have already been filed against the new maps, with more certainly to come. Kehoe told reporters last week he is happy to let the courts decide. Additionally, the bill signed today also puts the so-called Protect Missouri Voters Amendment to be put on a future ballot for voters to decide, which would change the way initiative petitions work in the state.